I have always said that a base rule for literally everybody should be that we don't try to invalidate other people's experiences, right? I feel like that's a base, like speaking on moral principles, speaking on like what's respectful. And I always thought about it, I don't know how else to describe it, but a physical sense or common sense, maybe common sense. Like, you don't go around invalidating other people's experiences because it gets nothing done and the person becomes defensive. Like, literally nothing. There's nothing, not progressive, but there's nothing productive in that. And I've kind of connected the dots because I have been in the like awareness, not in the awareness, but knowing about manifestation, law of assumption, and now boiling it down over the years to now understanding about awareness, consciousness, and what people validate. Those are the things that like really matter. Like, those are like the basic blocks of what forms like literally, quite literally, like everything. I promise you it is. And I came to the realization that you it is impossible to invalidate someone else's experience. Like, it is literally impossible, if that makes sense. Like, it is impossible to invalidate another person's experience. You know what I mean? Because they have validated it for themselves. It is valid to them. So you thinking that you're gonna invalidate, that's so dumb. It's so counterproductive, and it literally just makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. Productivity would be having a conversation about the different perspectives. And even after you have that conversation on the different perspectives, that person might walk away not validating what you validate for yourself personally. Like, I feel like we all need to understand this, right? Walking away from the conversation, you might still validate what you validated before, and they might still validate what they validated before they even talk to you. They might not. They might not invalidate. It's kind of difficult when you see it from that perspective. Not difficult, but it makes sense. Because everything has to do with the personal vessel. Like, everything has to do with what you personally validate for yourself, which goes back to you having your own power. There is this spiritualist that I've been following on Instagram just recently. I will leave her handle in the description, because anybody who talks about putting the power back onto yourself, like literally giving yourself back the power, literally talking about personal power, not externalizing power, anybody coming from the background that I come from, or like not background, but the knowledge that I have, that's attractive to me. When people talk about personal power, it automatically attracts me to you. And seeing how this creator talks about, or not creator, this spiritualist, seeing how she talks about it. She's also a healer and stuff like that. Every time her video pops up in my Instagram feed, I automatically want to stop and listen to her videos. This is besides the point. But it's literally impossible to invalidate another person's experience. So when people try and do that, it's like very counterproductive. the only thing you can do, like I said, I don't know if I said this yet or not, the only thing you can do is have a conversation about the differing perspectives. And it's all about what people perceive as possible for themselves. Like, let's talk about this aspect. What people believe is personally possible for them. How powerful do people believe they are to get something better than what they have? Just, this is just very general. Very general. You know, they have to validate something different for themselves to see what you see. Well, no, it's not about seeing what you see. It's not about that. It's just, if you think that someone should have a different perspective, if you think that someone shouldn't see something that way and that's detrimental to them, no matter what you think they're doing to themselves, no matter how counterproductive you see their mindset is, no matter how counterproductive you see it is, no matter how much you want to convince them that they have the power to build something better for themselves, they have to do it for themselves. Like, they have to see that for themselves. They have to see that. Like, they have to do it. Like, it can't, you know. I don't know. That makes sense to me. Like, they have to do it for themselves. Now, people who are open to the new perspectives, that's a beautiful trait to have. That you're open to the new perspective. You're open to that. There are people who are like that. There are people, well, I don't want to put this as a, oh, people who are open are good and people who aren't are bad. It's just, how much do you understand your own power? How much do you understand the possibilities, that the possibilities are limitless? How much do you understand this? How much are you, like, how much, I think about it, like, how much of it have you unlocked yet? Because everybody has the potential to unlock it. Like, how much of it have you unlocked in understanding that? And I don't know, like, I feel like maybe it is true that not everybody is gonna get to understand that. Possibly. Me personally, like, I feel like, yeah, like I said, maybe it's true that not everybody's gonna get to that point and understand that, actually kind of reframe things in a way for themselves. This also has to do with people's beliefs and, like, morals, because there may have been things that you never really thought about, but people bring up because they've experienced certain things certain ways. The beliefs may be formed by experiences. You know? And they correlate, like, it's so intertwined. I was thinking about how the facts and statistics of things and, like, and the experiences, these are two different ball games. Experiences, like, you can get educated and know things and know the statistics and know the facts. You can get educated on all of these things. The experiences have to do with that person's personal vessel, what their personal, what's going on in their mind, that's them. Like, that's the personal. That's what's validated in their mind. That's the validation that they give. That's what they're giving their validation to. Like, experiences and these facts and statistics and what you see, it's like two completely different, you know, two completely different ball games, you know. Because the experiences, like I said, they're fueled by you. And this goes back to the only thing that's real, like what's actually real for each individual in like real life, like in real life, is their experience. That's like that's what's actually real. Like, what's actually real in real life for people is their experience. Like, do you understand? And this is where consciousness comes in. This is where choosing what you validate comes in. That's when you get to control your experience. That's when you get to control the experience. That's when you get to control it. But before people, I don't know, before the knowledge of knowing that you control your experience, because all has to do with, it's all in the mind. Before people get to that, it's like they're already so controlled by, like, they're not attuned to knowing that you can choose what you give validation to. And then if you say that, some people are going to perceive that as, so you're telling me to be toxically positive, so you're telling me this like that's unrealistic, or I don't know. People, like, there's different ways you can spin it. Like, people, toxic positivity, or like, I don't know. But I think a good place to start is knowing that there's better, validating that there's something better if you're in a place that you don't want to be. Like, validating that there's something better. If you have the vision for where you want to be, you can validate that as being real. Like, you can start there. You can very much so start there. And then when it comes to perspectives on things in this world, like, there are going to be some people that are open to the new perspective, and there's going to be some people who are not. There are going to be people who have their reasons. But again, based off of experiences a lot of the time. Their reasons, and if it's not their experience, it might be an experience that they saw, that they know about. Like, you read something and then you base your belief based off of that. Like, you read something and you're like, that's not good, and then you adopt the belief about it. But you can show them another perspective that might be true, and they can acknowledge that the other perspective is true, but they still validate. And there's some people who validate both, but they might validate one perspective more still, because people, it's a spectrum. Like, everything is not black and white, guys. There are people who validate both, but There are people who see both. Like, you can see both. And you can validate one thing. People who validate one thing over another. You can see both. This is why seeing literally doesn't matter. Like, you can see two things and then validate this thing over here. Or you can see two things and validate this thing over here. Like, that's why validation is the only thing that really is real. Right? Doesn't that make sense? So yeah. Like, I think there's different levels to everything. But when it comes to the personal power and what you believe you can do, that's really solely based off of experiences. And you cannot convince somebody that they can do something unless they validate it for themselves, unless they choose it for themselves in their mind, because this is a mind thing. It's a mind thing. I promise you, it's a mind thing over anything. Seeing, it's a mind thing. You have to stick with it in your mind. If you feel like a certain way that you can't do it, you can feel a certain way and still know that your vision is valid. You can feel a certain way and still know that something is valid for you. You can feel down and still know that the better is valid for you. That can still, I promise you, validation is what's real. And its forms or experiences in our mind. Right? And beliefs, like I said, people see both things and they will validate. Like, controversial beliefs, whether people want to debate, what people want to debate, they will see both things and they can choose to validate one thing over another, or they will choose to validate another thing over another. You see how it doesn't have to do with seeing in that sense either? You see how it doesn't have to do with seeing in that sense either? Because you can see two different things being argued and you can validate one based off of your experience or based off of the experience that you see from another. And there are people, and also this was the last thing I came up with in my mind. You can validate something for yourself and see someone validating something else, right? And understand that just because, like, they validate something different because it's valid to them. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I keep using the word valid. But it proves that everything is off the basis of validation. It's like you validate that, and I validate something different. But either way, it's all within each of our own individual consciences. Like, it doesn't have nothing to do with what we see for real. Like I said, people will see both sides argued of something, and they will choose to validate one over the other. And it's all a conscious experience. And, like, literally everything down to it is a conscious experience. Like, I really don't care. I really don't care. So yeah. Also, I feel like I've been moving away from pop culture, like in a way. Like, I unintentionally stopped using TikTok. Basically, it was unintentional. My intention was to curate my social media experience. Like, my intention was to curate my experience on social media. But as a result, I've been pulling away from pop culture like more and more and more, because knowing every little detail of every little drama is not necessary. Like, I feel like you grow up and you learn these things, which is why I'm like, pop people, like, I'm like, people who do pop culture content, I'm like, how do you do that? Because not everything, I feel like not everything, it's like you there's no way that you actually care about everything that you talk, like there's no way that you actually care about everything that you talk about on your channel. Like, there's no way you actually care. Or people who use situations to like convey a lesson, like like situations of pop culture to convey a lesson. Honestly, I only like what speaks to me the most, and what should speak to you the most also, is like, I like people giving their own testimonies. Like, I like that, like, for example, the Doechis of the world, who, anybody, honestly, I love anybody who has documentation, or like it's like documented on the internet how they started someplace and then they got to here now and then they're here right now. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because that's me. I identify with that. Honestly, if you start curating your content, your social media experience, you're gonna find that you just, it's gonna be surrounded with things that you identify with. And that's another piece of consciousness. That's another piece of consciousness as well. Like, it's naturally going to be curated with things that you identify with. So that's another thing. So what, like, I feel like my point in saying that is that, like, not consuming personally pop culture like that the pop culture, when there's something going on, like every 5 seconds, especially with dumb stuff, between, not dumb stuff, but things between creators that I don't care about for real, or that I don't consume, or that I don't focus on personally, you know, or whatever. I feel like it's giving more capacity to focus on me-self. Like, it's giving more capacity, because I'm not thinking about situations on the internet. Or if I would, I like, I don't know if this is a controversy to say that I like this or I don't like this. But if you're just regurgitating what happened to somebody or event or whatever, it's like, okay. But if you can, like, look at somebody's situation, honestly, I don't even know if this is right either. Looking at a situation and then like making it like, guys, look at the situation that X, Y, and Z is going through, that I literally do not know them. I literally do not know them. But look at this situation and we can derive this lesson from their situation, or we can derive this lesson from their life, or, well, not their life, but we can derive this situation, we can derive a lesson from this situation that we see on the internet that we really don't know nothing about. Because that's also probably not, no, I personally don't have the words and reasoning to understand why, but something about that too is just off. I feel like there's just things that just feel off, and I can feel it, but I can feel when something's off, and when I don't have the words to explain it. But yeah, because you don't know them. Oh, also, like, wouldn't you, if you look at your own experience, okay, I feel like this is what it is. You're looking at someone like pop culture and you're like, oh no, I spin it into something where it's like, oh, this is the lesson we can get from X, Y, and Z's situation, and we can derive this advice from X, Y, and Z's situation, unless it's the person themselves talking about the situation on their own behalf, sharing their experience and what they learned. And it's like, huh, yeah, I can identify with that. If it's not that, then I don't like that, because what you need to be doing is focusing on your own experiences. Like this situation that we know nothing about, we're gonna derive a lesson from it when we don't know these people and we don't know the situation and the person hasn't come out and like talked about it, because there's a way where a influencer or a celebrity or whatever can come out and be like, this is what I learned, this is how I've learned it, this is what I did to learn lessons from my life, and now you can go apply it to your life. It's not that. Stuff that's not that, that's also kind of shady. Like, it's kind of shady when it's not that, when it's somebody else thinking that they can channel a message from a situation that they don't actually know about because the person hasn't spoke about it themselves, the person in question that's in the situation, right? What you should be doing is looking at your own life. What, like, have you learned the lessons that your own life has tried to teach you? You want to look at you want to look at pop culture and say, oh, I can learn lessons from this. But, like, what has your life tried to teach you? Have you looked at that? Now, if the shoe doesn't fit, then, like, let it fly. But, I mean, if it's aligning with what's going on in your life and it's confirmation in X, Y, and Z, but also, like, you should, again, personal power, your own power. You shouldn't need the confirmation. Like, why do you need, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying, okay, like, why do you need the confirmation? Like, no, like, you, like, be in your life, like, be in your life, be in your life, be active in your life, apply things from your life, look at the experiences from your life. I feel like if people analyze their life more than what they analyze other people's lives, then we would, I don't know, like, we would know our own personal power better. And that's why I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it there because I didn't want to talk for 30 minutes. I thought I had it all boiled down, but sometimes I just be talking to myself. I like talking to myself. Can you tell? Okay, bye.